They thought I was finished. They thought old bones meant no teeth left to bite. But I've been quiet long enough. My name's Richard Mallory. 73 years of sweat, silence, and sacrifice. I built houses for other men, laid bricks until my knuckles bled, skipped sleep so my kids could have warm meals, warm beds, warm chances I never had. I told myself it was worth it. A father's duty, I thought. Duty before dreams. Now I sit in a sagging armchair in a peeling clapboard house on the edge of Pike County, watching my children strip me down to nothing. They don't even whisper anymore. Dad's losing it. My oldest, Marcus, said last week. He didn't bother lowering his voice. If we sell the truck and the tools, we can cover the down payment for that condo. He won't know the difference. Didn't know? I heard every word. The girl, Emily, my only daughter, rolled her eyes. What do we need with his junk anyway? We should be talking about his will. That's the real prize. And the youngest, my boy Adam, didn't say a thing. Just smiled in that sly way he has, scrolling his phone, too busy planning his weekend to notice his father was sitting 3 feet away. I kept my face blank, jaw loose, hands still. I've learned that trick from years on scaffolds. Sometimes balance means pretending you're steady even when the wind's ready to knock you over. They think I'm weak. They think I'm fading. They think I don't see the way they shove my supper in front of me late, or how they've pawned my tools, or how the photo of their mother disappeared from the hallway wall. But I see. I remember. And I wait. The night the storm rolled in, I lay in bed listening to the house groan. The roof rattled like an old man's cough. Water dripped steady through the corner of the attic I'd patched myself in '94. Thunder cracked, so loud the glass trembled. And in that chaos, I made my choice. I wasn't going to die like some worn-out mule left in the mud. I wasn't going to be their burden, their punchline, their empty chair they shoved into a corner. I was going to remind them who I am. The first step was simple. Pretend. Walk slower. Let my hand shake when I lift the cup. Forget names on purpose. Smile weak, nod along. They bought it easy. Wolves always believe the sheep when he bows his head. But while they laughed at me, I studied them. Marcus, with his greed sharper than his suits. Obsessed with money, investments, the next big thing. He forgets that every number on his precious spreadsheets can be turned inside out with the right document, the right clause. Emily, hungry for spotlight. She dreams of running for city council, posting staged photos of charity work she never did. All ambition, no backbone. Reputation's her oxygen, and I know where the cracks are buried. Adam is different. He's all charm and promises, a boy who has never finished anything he started. He wants love so bad he'll sell his soul to keep it, and I know just how fragile that craving makes him. 3 children, 3 weaknesses, 3 knives, already sharpened by their own hands. All I have to do is twist. The next morning, Marcus came stomping into the living room, waving a folder. Dad, we need your signature on these. Just some routine estate planning. Nothing serious. Routine. I almost laughed. He was sweating like a gambler out of chips. I held out my hand, pretending it trembled. Bring me my glasses, son. Hard to see these days. He smirked. Of course. What he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd already met with a lawyer of my own. 2 weeks earlier. Quietly. While they were busy dividing me like carrion, I was drafting something new. A will with teeth. A will that didn't give them comfort, but consequences. I skimmed his papers, nodding slowly, every inch the helpless old man. Then I signed my name, not on his forms, but across the line I'd slipped in. My page, my terms, buried in his stack like a snake in tall grass. He didn't notice. Not yet. That night I sat alone at the kitchen table. Rain had stopped. The house was still. My hands didn't shake anymore. I traced the grain of the oak with one finger, thinking of all the years I'd given away. They thought they could bury me alive in this house, strip me of dignity, and wait for me to stop breathing. But they'd forgotten who taught them to fight, who bled to keep them warm, who sacrificed his bones for their comfort. They were about to learn that old doesn't mean finished. It means patient. And patient men make the deadliest enemies. I heard Adam's laugh outside my window. Drunk again. Then the slam of the door. Emily's heels clicking down the hall. Marcus's voice on the phone, bragging about deals that weren't his to brag about. I leaned back in my chair, eyes half closed, lips pulling into the smallest of smiles. Let them think they're winning. Let them think I'm gone. The game has only just begun. Morning light cut through the blinds like a knife. My bones ached, but not from age, just from holding still too long. Pretending takes muscle. Pretending takes patience. And now it was time to stretch. Marcus left his folder on the counter. Careless. He was always careless when he thought the game was already won. I slid it open and tucked my page inside, smooth and quiet. His financial contracts would carry my signature, sure, but they'd also carry the clause I had written. A trap hidden in plain sight. One wrong move, one boast too many, and the banks would come for him, not me. By breakfast, Emily was already in her campaign mode, snapping photos beside the front porch she hadn't cleaned in months. She posed with a broom, chin tilted like she'd conquered dirt itself. Community service, she chirped, angling her phone. She didn't notice me watching from the kitchen window. I'd seen the emails she left open on the family computer, sponsors, donors, skeletons in her closet waiting for the right whisper to set them free. Adam stumbled in late. The boy smelled of perfume that wasn't his girlfriend's. He grinned, kissed my forehead, and asked for $20. I gave it to him, shaking hand and all. He didn't notice the way my eyes lingered, the way I memorized his weakness. Love, or what he thought was love, was going to undo him faster than whiskey ever could. I let them live their morning lies, because I had already set the first fire. That afternoon, Marcus stormed in, tie loose, face red. He slammed his phone down on the table. Dad, what the hell did you sign? I blinked slow, steady. Just what you asked me to. You ruined it. His voice cracked. That document. My investors think I forged it. They're pulling out. Emily peeked in, wide-eyed. Adam smirked like it was entertainment. But me. I just sipped my coffee, let the silence cut him deeper than I ever could. The old man they dismissed, the burden they mocked, had just turned their greed against them. That night, Marcus paced the hall like a wolf with a broken paw. I could hear his mutters through the walls. I'll fix it. I'll fix it. Dad doesn't even know what he's done. But I knew exactly what I'd done, and it was only the beginning. The house smelled like burnt toast and tension. Emily barged into the kitchen first, heels clicking like gunfire, phone glued to her ear. What do you mean the article's running tonight? She hissed. Her campaign smile cracked as she snatched the paper from the counter, eyes scanning words she'd prayed no one would ever see. Her past laid bare, half-truths, fake volunteer hours, endorsements bought with favors. I hadn't needed to lie. Just one envelope sent to the right reporter with the right screenshots. Truth, sharpened, does more damage than any blade. Marcus walked in behind her, face pale, still reeling from his investors abandoning ship. What's wrong with you? He snapped at her. You think Dad's the problem? You're the one who tanked us with your staged charity stunts. She threw the paper at his chest. Don't start. Your big deals are already dead. Maybe if you weren't such a greedy idiot. Enough. My voice cut through them like a saw. They froze. It wasn't loud, but it carried weight they hadn't heard from me in years. Adam stumbled in last, carrying flowers he hadn't bought, smelling of someone else's perfume again. He saw their faces and laughed nervously. What's this? Family therapy. Neither sibling answered. They were too busy tearing into each other, voices climbing, hands pointing, old wounds ripped wide open. I leaned back in my chair, letting the storm rage. Because storms clear the air. And in that chaos, their eyes finally turned on me. You did this, Emily spat, fingers stabbing the air. You set us up. I tilted my head. Did I? Or did you just hand me the rope and tie your own knots? Silence. Heavy. Bitter. The kind that makes walls creak. Marcus slammed his fist on the table. You're not as helpless as you act. What's your game, old man? I looked each of them in the eye, slow, deliberate. My voice dropped to a whisper, steady as stone. The game you forgot I taught you. The room went still. For the first time in years, they looked at me. Not through me, not past me, but at me. And that's when Adam's phone buzzed. A single text. His smile faded as he read it. He shoved the flowers onto the counter, face draining white. "What is it?" Emily asked. He didn't answer. He just looked at me. And for once, he didn't have a smart remark. Because he realized his turn was next. Adam's secret came out quicker than I expected. Secrets always do when fear shakes the hands that hold them. It was past midnight when his girlfriend showed up on the porch. Pretty girl, but her eyes were red, mascara streaked like war paint. She clutched her phone in one hand, a crumpled envelope in the other. "Is Adam here?" she demanded. Marcus and Emily stumbled out of their rooms, curious, angry, looking for a new target to bite. I stayed in my chair, silent, watching. She waved the envelope. "Your brother promised me he'd help with rent. He said he'd cover the deposit, that his dad would back him up. But guess what? The check bounced. And now I've got nothing but his texts bragging about money that doesn't exist." Emily smirked. "Figures. He's always been useless." Adam shoved past her, face pale. "Don't listen to her. She's lying." But the girl was faster. She held up her phone, screen glowing with his words. "Look, every promise he made, every lie. And he told me," her voice cracked, "he told me he'd leave me something from the will, that it was already his." The room fell into a silence, so sharp I could hear the tick of the old wall clock. Marcus's lip curled. Emily's eyes narrowed. "You dragged us down for this?" Marcus snarled. Adam stammered, hands shaking. "It's not like that. I thought." But his siblings didn't care. They tore into him, the fight turning savage. Words cut deeper than fists. Leech, failure, embarrassment. I didn't stop them. I let the fire burn, because fire shows who can stand the heat. When the girlfriend finally stormed out, slamming the door so hard the glass rattled, Adam crumbled. He slid to the floor, head in his hands, whispering something only I could hear. "I just wanted someone to love me." For a moment, a part of me almost felt pity. Almost. But pity is wasted on children who carve their father into pieces and call it inheritance. I rose from my chair, slow but steady. "Now you know what it feels like," I said. His eyes lifted, wet and desperate. "What? To be promised love?" I whispered, and left with nothing. He froze. The truth sank in deeper than any lecture. But before the silence could settle, there came another sound, the front door creaking open. A figure stepped inside. Not family, not friend. A man in a dark coat, holding a folder thick with paper. "Evening," he said, voice calm, official. "I believe you've all been expecting me." Marcus stiffened. Emily gasped. Adam just stared, and I smiled, because betrayal doesn't always come from outside. Sometimes you invite it in. The man shut the door behind him, slow and deliberate. His shoes left wet prints on the rug, each step like a countdown. He set the folder on the table with a heavy thud. Marcus was the first to recover. "Who the hell are you?" The man didn't blink. "Name's Carter. Attorney." He opened the folder, pages whispering like knives unsheathed. "I represent your father." Their heads snapped toward me. I just leaned back in my chair, folding my arms across my chest. Carter slid out a stack of papers, neatly clipped. "These are the revised terms of Mr. Mallory's estate. Legally binding. Notarized. Filed." His tone was ice. "Effective immediately." Emily's face drained. "That's impossible. He can't even read." I cut in, my voice sharp. "Right? Think." I leaned forward, letting them see the steel in my eyes. "That's what you've been whispering, isn't it? That I was too far gone to know my own name?" Silence. Heavy, suffocating. Carter continued, calm as a hangman. Clause 1. Any heir found guilty of financial misconduct against their father will have their share reduced to 0. Clause 2. Any heir who knowingly spreads falsehoods to bolster public image forfeits rights to personal property. Clause 3. He looked at Adam. Any heir who attempts to exploit promises of inheritance for personal gain is disqualified. Marcus shot to his feet, face red. You tricked us. You set us up. No, I said, voice steady. You set yourselves up. I just gave you the rope. Emily shook her head, whispering, This can't be real. This isn't happening. But Carter wasn't finished. He pulled out one last envelope, sealed in wax. Mr. Mallory asked me to deliver this personally at the right time. He slid it across the table to me. My hands didn't shake when I broke the seal. Inside was a single sheet, my handwriting, written months ago on a night they thought I was dozing in front of the TV. I read it aloud, my voice filling the room. To my children, I gave you my life, my years, my dreams. You gave me greed, shame, and silence. So I give you this in return. Nothing. The words landed like stones. Adam buried his face in his hands. Emily's phone slipped from her grip, clattering across the floor. Marcus stood frozen, fists trembling. You ruined us, he whispered. I stood, straightening my back, every vertebra screaming but holding strong. No, Marcus. I reminded you what ruin feels like. You just didn't expect it to come from me. Carter closed the folder with a snap. The transfer of assets begins tomorrow. Mr. Mallory retains full control until his passing. Consider this your notice. And with that, he left, the door slamming like a judge's gavel. The three of them stared at me, stunned, cornered, dangerous. But I wasn't afraid. Not anymore. Because I'd just taken everything back. And I wasn't done yet. The storm came fast. Not from the sky, though thunder rumbled in the distance, but from my children. Marcus moved first, always the gambler. He stormed into my room the next morning, waving his phone like a weapon. I've called a lawyer of my own. You think you can write me out? Think again. We'll contest everything. I didn't even lift my eyes from my coffee. Go ahead. Contest it. Every clause is tied to proof. Your texts, your forged contracts, your voice on the recordings you forgot I kept. His mouth snapped shut. That was the first time I saw fear flicker in his eyes. Emily tried a different tactic. She slid into the kitchen later, soft voice, trembling hands. Daddy, maybe we just got carried away. Maybe we can fix this. People will forgive me if I resign from the campaign. We can still look like a family. I stared at her. This was the same girl who shoved me into the mudroom, so her guests wouldn't smell old man dust. Now she wanted family. I leaned forward, my words sharp and low. Your image is already ash. And ash doesn't get polished. Her face crumpled. She turned away before I could see the tears. But Adam, that boy took the longest to break. He tried charm, promises, apologies muttered through half smiles. You know I didn't mean it, Dad. I was just lost. You're all I've got. He said it like love, but I saw the hunger in his eyes. He wanted rescue, not redemption. And I gave him neither. By nightfall, the three of them were united again, not in love, but in desperation. I heard the whispers through the walls. We have to stop him. He'll ruin us all. They thought I was asleep. I wasn't. I lay still, eyes open in the dark, listening to their fear thicken the air. It smelled almost sweet, like rotten summer. They had turned on each other already. Now they would turn on me. But I was ready. I had one more card left, tucked away in the drawer of my nightstand. A set of keys. Not to this old house, but to something they didn't even know existed. A property, a bank account, a truth buried deeper than their greed could ever dig. Tomorrow, I would use it. And tomorrow, they would finally see the difference between weakness and patience. Because patience was about to crush them. The air in the house was thick, like a storm building but never breaking. Doors slammed harder. Voices rose sharper. Even the walls seemed to lean in, listening. I knew it was only a matter of time before desperation pushed one of them over the edge. It came from Marcus first, of course. My eldest son never did understand restraint. I woke near midnight to the sound of drawers ripping open, cabinets slamming. His voice barked through the hall like a hound straining against its leash. Where is it? Where the hell is it? Emily's voice cut back, shrill with panic. Lower your voice. He'll hear you. I don't care if he hears. Marcus thundered. He's been playing us, all of us. He's got something hidden, and if we don't find it, we're finished. I stayed still in bed, eyes open in the dark, pulse steady. They weren't wrong. There was something hidden, but they'd never find it. Not under the floorboards, not behind the picture frames, not in the safe Marcus thought he cracked when he lifted my spare keys. The real secret was simpler. The kind of simple that blinds greedy eyes because they expect gold, not paper. By dawn, the house looked like a storm had torn through it. Drawers yanked out, files scattered, even my old wedding photos overturned. Emily sat at the table with her head in her hands, mascara smudged into bruises. Marcus paced like a caged animal. Adam sat quiet for once, hands fidgeting, eyes darting from me to the mess and back again. You know what we're looking for, Marcus spat, turning on me. His face was pale, his tie still hanging from his neck like a noose. So where is it? Where are you hiding it? I sipped my coffee, slow and calm. Hiding what, son? Don't play dumb with me, he snapped. The keys. The deeds. Whatever you've been working with that lawyer on. You think we're blind? Emily raised her head, voice cracking. Just tell us what you want, Dad. Please. Do you want us to beg? Fine. I'm begging. Just stop this before it destroys everything. The irony nearly made me laugh. They'd already destroyed everything. The trust, the family, the dignity of a man who had given his bones to keep them standing. They just hadn't realized the rubble was already under their feet. I leaned forward, setting the mug down with a soft thud. What I want, I said, voice steady as stone, is for you to understand. Every dollar you counted, every lie you polished, every promise you broke. I saw it. I remembered it. And I turned it into a mirror. Their faces blurred with confusion and fear. Then Adam blurted it out, his voice trembling. He's bluffing. He doesn't have anything. If he had proof, we'd be finished already. I smiled at him, a small, tired smile. Proof isn't for me, Adam. Proof is for the world. Before they could speak, I pulled the drawer beside me open. The keys lay there, silver glinting in the morning light. I dangled them in the air, listening to their collective breath hitch. These, I said softly, aren't to this house. They're to the Lockbox at First Federal downtown. Inside are documents I've kept for decades. Investments I made while you were too busy taking. Deeds to land you don't even know exists. And letters, your letters. Every ugly word, every signature on a forged check, every promise you wrote and broke. Emily shook her head violently. No, you're lying. You wouldn't. But her voice faltered. She knew I wasn't lying. Marcus lunged, hand outstretched for the keys. I stepped back, quicker than he expected for an old man. His hand slammed against the wall. He cursed, eyes blazing. You're not going to ruin us, he snarled. I won't let you. I leaned close enough for him to smell the coffee on my breath. Son, I don't need to ruin you. You've already done it yourselves. I'm just making sure everyone else sees. The silence after that was thick, suffocating. Even Adam stopped fidgeting. I tucked the keys back into my pocket and stood tall. My spine ached, my knees screamed, but I stood anyway. They needed to see me, not a ghost, not a burden, but the man who had built their world with his bare hands. This ends tomorrow, I said. The lawyer will be here at noon with the lockbox. Everything will be laid out. Your greed, your lies, your betrayals. And when it's over, you'll have nothing but yourselves. I walked toward the door, slow and steady. Behind me, Emily whimpered. Marcus cursed under his breath. Adam whispered something I couldn't catch. On the porch, the air was sharp with the smell of rain. Clouds boiled on the horizon, heavy and dark. A storm was coming, real this time, and it matched the weight in my chest. But for the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel weak. I felt like a man holding the match in a house soaked with gasoline. And tomorrow, I would strike it. The storm broke at noon. Rain hammered the windows. Thunder rolled like judgment itself. My children sat in the living room, faces pale, eyes dark, waiting for the blow they thought they could still dodge. Carter arrived on the hour, soaked but calm, his briefcase tucked under one arm. He shook the water from his coat and set the lockbox on the table. The sound of metal hitting would echoed like a verdict. "Mr. Mallory," he said, nodding to me. Then he turned to them. "And to the heirs, though that title will be changing shortly." Emily flinched. Adam swallowed hard. Marcus clenched his jaw so tight I thought his teeth would snap. Carter produced a key, but I stopped him. I pulled my own from my pocket, the same key I'd teased them with the night before. I wanted them to see that the power was mine. Always mine. The lock clicked open. The lid lifted. Inside lay a stack of papers, neatly bound, every page a nail in the coffin of their ambitions. Carter began to read. Exhibit A, financial statements from Marcus Mallory, showing forged signatures on loan applications, as well as contracts nullified by his unauthorized filings. These were submitted to the state attorney's office this morning. Marcus surged to his feet. "You can't." "I already did." I cut him off, my voice sharp as steel. He froze, mouth hanging open. Carter continued. Exhibit B, a portfolio of correspondence between Emily Mallory and multiple donors. False claims of volunteer hours, falsified photos, even bribes disguised as campaign contributions. Copies have been provided to the press. Emily's breath hitched. She grabbed for the folder, but Carter's hand slammed it shut before she could touch it. And Exhibit C. His eyes flicked to Adam, whose shoulders curled inward like a child waiting for punishment. Screenshots and written testimony from Miss Jenna Howard regarding Adam Mallory's promises of inheritance in exchange for personal favors. Legally considered exploitation, as Mr. Mallory Sr. is still living. Adam's eyes filled with tears. He shook his head weakly. I didn't mean. But I leaned forward, voice low and cold. Meaning doesn't matter, boy. Only what you did. The room was silent except for the rain pounding the roof. My children sat crumbling in their own skins, the weight of their greed finally pressing down. Carter cleared his throat. As per the revised will, effective today, all three heirs are disinherited. All assets, properties, accounts, and holdings transfer to the Mallory Foundation, established under Mr. Richard Mallory's sole authority. Its purpose, to support veterans, widows, and working men who were cast aside after giving everything. Emily gasped. You're giving it all away? I met her eyes. I already gave it all away. To you. To him. To Marcus. To your comfort. And what did you give me back? Scorn. Silence. A cot in the mudroom. No more. Marcus slammed his fist on the table. You can't erase us. I stood, slow and deliberate, letting the weight of my years show but not bend me. I didn't erase you. You erased yourselves the day you decided I was a burden. Carter packed the papers, locked the box, and handed me the key. It's finished, he said. But I wasn't done. Not yet. I walked to the window, rain streaking down the glass, and turned back to face them. My voice was calm, final. You thought you could bury me before I was dead. You thought old meant weak, silence meant surrender. But I was watching. I was remembering. And I was waiting. Now you'll live the rest of your lives with the weight of what you did, while I live the rest of mine free. Adam sobbed quietly. Emily stared at the floor. Marcus glared, but there was nothing left behind the rage. No power, no leverage, no inheritance. I took my coat from the rack, slipped the key into my pocket, and opened the door. The storm air rushed in, cool and sharp. I paused on the threshold, looked back one last time, and delivered the only sentence they'd remember after I was gone. You buried me alive. A beat of silence. Too bad I dug myself out. Then I stepped into the rain, leaving them in the ruins of their own making.